Welcome to Missing the Point. I'm your host, Michael Marcangelo, joined by DK Sizzle Dave Clarke, and we are once again joined by our resident badass who will be competing at CFFC 95 this Friday, the one and only Hilarie Rose. Hilarie, third time's the charm. Thank you so much for joining. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm doing well. Was that a good tap dance, Dave?
It was good. I just like that we're pretending to the listeners that she hasn't been here for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, talking to This is the magic of podcasting.
Conor McGregor lost.
Oh, gosh.
By the way,
up right away.
Called that.
Yeah, you called it. I mean, good job,
Now,
Mike.
I know that this
is
reveling my
for
pain.
him too. I was on Conor McGregor's side, but
Yeah, you were. I appreciate that. You're a better friend than Mike.
Way better.
That was a tough one because he got knocked out. I've never seen him get knocked out. But he gotta get submitted. All right, maybe his ground game needs work. Seeing your guy just go and he looked like in pain down there. I was like, oh, dude.
Yeah, I mean those calf kicks.
Yeah,
take you
check
out.
those next time.
Sometimes checking doesn't even help.
I know.
Sometimes checking hurts more.
I know.
You'd be surprised.
It's too bad. But also, I didn't like his stance. He was like.
Yeah, he was in a weird wrestling
boxing stance. Yeah. I think he was I think that's just to me is Khabib training. It's he's just been getting into shape to beat Khabib, and then he didn't look like he trained for Dustin at all because he thought he was just going to get him out of there with his left hand.
Yeah, no, it didn't happen. But they'll fight again in July or June. So
July 11th. Yeah, we'll see. I'll hopefully be done crying by then.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are crying.
I don't know if you know this, but Dave was pretty inconsolable for the 72 hours after. Didn't told us that this was going to be bad if it went this way, and it did, and then he just no communication for 3 days.
I did. I dropped off the face of the earth. I was like, I can't believe I bought this bottle of fucking proper 12 whiskey. It tastes like shit.
It tasted better before he went out.
It did. I think they have to cheap on the ingredients now because he didn't get the full payday.
That's right. For sure. I don't know. He showed up in a yacht, so.
That was kind of cool. But then it's if you show up in a yacht, you better win.
Yeah, I agree.
Or
have
just
you seen stuff with Nate today.
Don't get knocked out.
Nate's fighting Leon Edwards.
Yeah. And Nate's being hilarious on Twitter because he's
oh yeah, he's going off.
Yeah, he's I'm headlining this event. Also, there's a lightweight belt, I think, but you guys should tune in because I really hope those guys do good. And then him and Conor were talking shit to each other today, which we obviously have to see that.
I saw that too. I love it, and it's going to be the first ever 5-round co-main event.
Is that true?
Never happened. So,
never. That's not a title fight, I would think.
Nope, not a title fight. So it'll be the first. Oh yeah, it's the first ever non-title fight co-main event for 5 rounds. So
is a title when Nate Diaz fights though. It's it means just as much.
Yeah. People love to see him fight.
He's great.
He's the best.
Even though he was and you want to talk about inconsolable. After the first Nate Diaz fight, I woke up on the sidewalk outside my apartment. And nobody had taken anything, which I think is out of my pockets or anything, which I think is a pretty good uptick for.
They were thinking this poor guy's had a rough evening.
Yeah, they were he looks Irish. He looks sad and Irish.
We know what happened to him.
Yeah, poor guy. But I mean, I still love Nate. He's so much fun. He's so great for the brand.
I don't know. Leon Edwards is a tough fight for him.
He's a tough fight for all of us because he puts me to sleep.
Yeah,
all especially with his personality and his eye pokes. I didn't like that.
No good.
I didn't like any of that.
No
all
good.
Right, Mike, let's go. Let's ask her questions about her fight, which is what we're really here to talk about.
What a great segue, Dave. So, Hilarie, is it Alannah Arnett? Is that how you pronounce it? Alannah?
Yeah, Alannah.
Alannah.
Yeah.
So she's 4-1 in her MMA career, with 2 of her wins happening in the first round via an armbar, right? So, knowing that, how does your preparation change, knowing that half of her wins have been decided in the first round with a submission?
So originally I was fighting somebody else completely different. So I was fighting a girl who was 5-3 and she fought on Contender Series twice. So it was a really, really good matchup. So 2 weeks ago that changed. The girl tore ACL, so she couldn't fight. So this is that girl, Alannah's first pro fight. So I was kind of iffy about wanting to take it because I was it doesn't really look great. I mean, it doesn't look great for me. It doesn't not look great for me, but Like if I
You're the
beat
one
her-
gambling everything at this point because it's
Right.
like, you know,
Yeah.
she has nothing to lose. You have everything to lose. So it's
Yeah,
like,
and, like,
you're not
for
going to
her-
gain anything by winning. Yeah.
win. If she fights me and she loses, it's great experience for her. And if she beats me, it looks really great. So I was like iffy about taking it, but she's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu and she grapples very well. But I'm also a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and I think that I have better MMA grappling. And from the fights that I've seen, like, she doesn't really like to get hit. So, you know, I'm hoping I'll just hit her a good few times and she'll leave me some openings. And, you know, I have some things that I've added to my toolbox. So we'll see. So I'll, you know, welcome her to the professional level. And, you know, hopefully I'm trying to be like mean, and I'm really not a mean person. I'm trying to have that like,
Yeah.
yeah,
You were like
staring down.
gearing up for that exact speech right there. Like, yeah, time to baptize someone. And then you were like, oh, but I'm sure she's nice.
Yeah, I'm too nice. I'm overly nice. But the thing is, I'm just appreciative that I get a fight. So we were hit or miss about taking it, but you know, a win in the win column is a win. So if I can get experience and be more comfortable in there, then and I was training. So I was training for a fight. I was prepped to fight. So, you know, I'm grateful for her. And, you know, she's obviously very ballsy to take a fight against someone who has more experience than her. And you know, she's probably thinks of it as a good good mix, but I'm not afraid of her arm locks. I think that if I hit her a good few times, she'll make some amateur mistakes that will leave some good openings for me. But, you know, we definitely have been drilling some arm lock escapes and basic stuff like that. But that's all, you know, once someone's hitting you, things change.
Everybody's got a plan, so they get punched in the face. It's good to stay on that rhythm for you though, right? Because you got that, you know, it's like you have a camp, you get to the peak of that mountain. You don't want to just have nothing happen then, right? Like you want to fight someone just for like the rhythm of your body, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, because going back to the drawing board and like starting a whole new training camp, then I'm sure would like mess with you a little bit on some level.
For sure. And like, it messed with me a little too, because I was like, oh, do I want to take the fight? Do I want to take the fight? Do I want to just like keep training and then train for someone who has more experience? But, you know, again, time in the cage is just good time. It's just like practice. So more practice is better. But like, even still, like, I'm fighting a debuter and I'm fucking terrified. Like, I get scared. Like, I'm like, oh, I gotta fight. And I tell my coach, I'm like, I gotta like fight in 2 days. Like, oh.
Yeah.
It's good. It's fun, obviously, but I think it'll be fun. And, you know, I appreciate her for taking the fight. So we'll see how it goes.
We were talking a little off the air about obviously like cutting weight and how your training has evolved since your last fight. So knowing that your opponent changed 2 weeks ago and everything you put into your camp, I guess how would you compare your camp this time to your camp pre the Contender Series? What's different? What's the same?
So, like we talked before, mostly it was strength training. So just building a lot of strength, getting stronger, which I definitely have. You know, we stuck with a lot. I've been doing a lot of pad work, or I've been doing pad work with a few other people. Not like I do pad work with my coaches all the time, but now I travel to Joe Lozon's gym and I hit pads with his coach a few times a week, just to add in mixing of different things and speed and but yeah, just building strength. Strength was my biggest thing. So I definitely feel stronger and you know, bigger than I was before. And this camp, I also added like a nutritionist. So I added someone who was giving me my meals every week and telling me what to eat and, you know, how to fuel my body the correct way, where I don't think I knew how to make weight and to eat, but sometimes, you know, I trained for like, you know, 3 hours and then I'd be like, oh, I'll have a hard boiled egg and go to bed. So, you know, like I wasn't fueling my body what it needed. So I added a nutritionist too. So I think a lot of that has helped me, you know, be really well fueled and feel more energized for all my training sessions. And yeah, so building strength and just being, you know, fueled and stronger was my biggest thing.
Is there anything you can do when you're like obviously your Instagram has been like a highlight reel of just like lifting up an enormous amount of weight and it's been cool to watch, but how does that translate into the cage? Like, can you just lift a lot of iron up and down and then you're just stronger when you're in there? Or do you have to like focus it in a specific area? And then like, is there stuff you can do in your, like, say your grappling training that can, you know, help your strength? Are you like grapple with bigger opponents or like what, you know, what's the system there?
So a lot of it like is like with kettlebells and things like that. Like it helps with my gripping, like if I'm grabbing onto arms or building a lot of weight like on my legs has helped with like rotation of strikes. I think that my punches have actually gotten like more powerful because I'm learning how to use rotation of my trunk better. And I think because like doing a lot of wall throws with balls and things like that has kind of I knew I was fast. Like I have that natural speed. Like I already knew that I had that. And it's like, some people never have that, but I was just kind of, that's something I lucked out with. So the speed was already there. It's just adding the power. And I think I was powerful, but adding, the weightlifting and like doing pull-ups and doing all that stuff has kind of made me stronger in my bottom half of my body, which has made me more powerful in my strikes. So grappling wise, for sure, I feel stronger. Like I go with the guys that I've been training with, down at Lausanne's for sparring, and like, they're all like, man, you feel fucking strong. Like you're way stronger than you were before. And I think it's just, I'm more aware of my body and I can feel that I'm stronger. So I think now that I feel that I'm stronger, I'm able to grapple better and take advantage of position in better ways. So it's cool.
That is cool. I hope that, or I think that, the combination, it sounds like, of like a nutritionist, strength training, getting feedback on that strength training, like everything is building for like confidence inside the cage.
Definitely.
I mean, it's like that, I feel like all that stuff is going to play a factor where, you say, oh, I'm scared. It's like, well, yeah, you're getting in a fist fight in a couple of days. Like I think anybody, if you're not scared, there's something wrong. But
for sure.
Once you're in there, and they lock the cage, I think that those combination of factors are all just going to click into place. And it's just like,
For
okay,
sure.
my confidence is here.
Switch flips.
Yeah, exactly. So that's good. Sounds like a great camp.
And I'm excited to see like how, because I mean, obviously I fought Cheyanne and, but then I really added the strength. I mean, I did strength training before her, but I was doing, now that I've focused so much on it, I'm curious to see how I'll do in the cage now that I've added it. And, if I'll feel stronger, where like in positions that Cheyanne had got me in, I wasn't as strong. So I'm curious to see, how I feel if I get in those positions again, and if I'll feel stronger and, capable of, moving and escaping better.
She did not have a great debut. I don't know if you saw it.
She didn't. The thing is, she's crazy. did you hear her after?
Well,
well, that's what I was gonna say. It's like,
didn't the girl spit on her?
No,
I think the girl spit. I don't know if she spit on her or called her like puta, and it looked like she spit on her.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure, but
I was doing like Zapruder tape stuff with it afterwards to see if there was like action. Because like, here's the thing, like, I feel like anyone, even though like most of the time in an MMA fight, two people fight, they're usually cool after, because it's like, well, we just had a fight. Like, what else are we gonna do, right? But and then if they want to talk shit again later, like, it is what it is. But we just were in a fist fight, so she got mad about something. So it wouldn't make a lot of sense unless maybe she was just mad that she lost. I feel like I'll be mad if someone spit on me, even though whatever. But I was like slowing down the tape. I couldn't see any pixels. I couldn't see anything. Not saying that's definitive.
Like when Cheyanne was in her guard and Cheyanne was like yelling, I think Cheyanne was mad because she's like, I want to fucking fight. And this girl's just holding me down in this shitty position. And like when she's in guard, just going, I think that like they were just yelling at each other. And then that like they got angry. But Cheyanne, I think she's funny. Like, I think I like how she is. And she's like, I'll fucking follow you home, you bitch. and like I wished her luck and said, good luck in your fight. But yeah, I was surprised. Her and her husband both lost.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great night.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a great night for the narrative. But also, I remember them walking in and it was like, he lost. And they were like, well, he said he was going to be in the corner no matter what. I was like, if I was her, I'd be like, you need to get your bad juju the fuck out of here. Because like, you're just like, you're bringing in some bad energy. I could see it in his face. I was like, no, get that guy out of here.
Well, you could see because when she was getting like all whatever Vaselined up, you can see like her coach like hugging him behind, like,
bad vibes.
Bro. Yeah. So, and I mean, like, she obviously fought and did well. I mean, did okay for what she could, other than being in that position. But like, he got knocked out. Like, dropped a few good times in his fight. So, that's hopefully, that's tough because you think that 25 division, those guys move fast and have heavy hands. So if he has a bad chin,
that's. I mean, at the start, at the start of the whole thing, that's not good.
So,
but he's funny.
We know. We feel like we know you, Hilarie, right? You've been on this show 3 times, and you're just awesome to talk to. Super nice person. Like, that's your disposition. What happens in the cage if somebody spits on you? What do you do?
I don't know. I don't think anything good. Like, I think I'd probably call them like a cunt and maybe smack them. Like, I really though.
That's a first here. That's a first.
I don't know, but that's true. Like, I've never thought that because I've never, I guess, been in any sort of fight where there was like aggressive. Like when I fought Cheyanne, she yelled at the end of the last round, I was like, "Let's go!" Like, and that was no one's ever like done anything like that to me. I think because I'm just overly nice. I don't think people want to be mean to me.
Yeah, I was thinking because I mean I'm not a fan of Cheyenne's at all, but I saw her Instagram post about how they spit on her or how she thought that she was spat
Yeah.
on, and I was like, I really wonder, like knowing Hilarie, what would happen, like what switch would flip if someone just hawked a loogie on her inside a cage, like what she would do.
Yeah.
So I mean I had to ask because I can't. You said so many times like you love fighting, like you're not. But like when spitting on another person is the ultimate sign of absolute disrespect.
Yes, definitely.
Right? So like something has to happen.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I mean, not both the girls, but that was that other girl's like debut in the UFC. And like, no offense to her, like obviously she had a smart game plan. She stuck to it. She held Cheyanne
it was
down.
a snooze fest though.
But like, it was a snooze fest. And like, if she fights another fight like that, Dana's going to be like, see you later. Like she needs to like stand and brawl and like, or, do something different than just holding somebody there. So if she put on a boring fight and spit in that girl's face, like, doesn't look good for her overall. So, I mean.
Yeah, because when you're in a debut situation in the UFC, like it's still tentative. You've seen a lot of people come in, do stupid stuff in their debut and get cut right away. So
it's still a trial period. 1 week trial.
You're on probation.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. But I mean, that's tough. That's gotta be tough too. I see what you're saying. Like, I'm also not really a fan of Cheyenne's, and like normally, I mean, I've been banging the Khabib is the most boring fighter ever drum for a long time because of my bias. Normally, I would see a girl like that, and I would be like, that is awful. I hope I never see her fight again. But because she was doing it to her, I was a little bit more into it. But like, whatever. But I do see why that would be frustrating. It's your UFC debut. You got your contract. You train your ass off all this time. And then you just realize that you can't do anything. This person is just holding you down. And they're not even trying to like, she wasn't even really trying to like advance position in any way.
Yeah, finish her or anything.
Yeah,
she was just throwing like simple strikes there. And like, I understand, like I've been stuck in that position before and it's like not an easy thing to get out. Especially if someone's very strong. Like my coach, Tom, he said that he's never seen a male or female ever be that strong in a position like that. He's like, I couldn't believe it. She was so strong. She just sat there and could hold her there. And like, you can do things to create space, like bridge and roll. And like Cheyanne was doing all those things and she, got out a few times, but yeah, that girl must have like a serious grip.
I liked her because that's actually my one fight move is the Clarke headlock. That's what I can really do. And like most of the times I've been in situations like that in my life, just my dad taught it to me. His dad taught it to him. The Clarke headlock, it's a tried and true thing. But you can't really do anything with it is the thing. You realize you're just kind of sitting there, but you can't keep them down. But now it's been proven you can win a UFC fight with the Clarke headlock. So I can't wait to tell my dad.
And I believe I think Cheyanne, she was originally supposed to fight somebody else. And then the girl that she did fight, whatever that girl's name was, Masquerade or whatever. Cheyanne was, I think, simulating that girl for one of her teammates because her teammate was supposed to fight her for like Invicta. So like, it was ironic how that kind of happened. So I think from what I heard or like what I saw that like Cheyanne was helping another girl prepare for that girl. So like, I'm sure it was like a weird change of style. So I'll be like pretending to be one girl and then you end up having to fight her. So
yeah, it's gonna mess your head a little bit.
Yeah. And it may not have even messed with her head, but she probably thought, oh, okay, I got this. This will be good. But yeah, that girl knew I'll take a few punches, grab you and go down. And that was that. She got the win. Don't leave it to the judge. She did do
that thing though, that used to work all the time in the UFC. It doesn't work as much anymore, which is like running through shots to get a takedown as opposed to like creating space. You remember back in the day, it was like guys could just take a punch. Yeah. And it's like you run right through it. That's not going to stand up. Like if she fights somebody that can like really, really like, or sees it coming, has enough game tape on her and they're just going to catch her on the way in and it's going to be all over.
For sure.
But what about this girl that you're fighting? Like as far as the training camps go, how different are their styles? Is it like a very different situation? Or are you having to switch your brain around?
Wait, from the girl I was going to fight?
Yeah, from the first one.
I would say that the girl I was going to fight first isn't a forward striker. Like she goes backwards. Like she is willing to strike and she lost to Macy Barber on Contender. So
Macy Barber's good.
Yeah, Macy Barber's good.
And Macy Barber fights like 37 times a year. So like you gotta love her.
I think she fights up above a weight class now too. Like she was much bigger than the girl I was supposed to fight, but like that was at 115 and I think she struggles to make 115 now. But she fought her, but she fights not really backwards, but like she never engaged. She wasn't an engaged fighter where this girl will come forward. but she doesn't have like, I'm much faster like than her. So if I just commit to like my hands and I throw them, I think I'll hit her. But like the other girl wouldn't have come forward, and this girl will probably maybe come forward and want to try to take me down is what I think, where they're both for brown belts. And I think that both of them maybe wanted to take me down. But that this girl's going to really, really want to try to take me down to get the finish early, which I understand. And that's fine. And especially on 2 weeks notice, like if she wasn't in a fight camp, you know, she's probably just going to rely on her jujitsu and, you know, trying to get me down maybe on the cage or whatnot. So we'll see.
It'd be cool to add a knockout to the reel then, if that's the case. It'd be nice to catch one of those.
That's the plan. My coaches think I'm going to choke her out, though, so we'll see.
All right. Well,
so,
either way.
I don't know. I have a few things up my sleeve that I really want to land, so I'm really hoping that they work out.
You just make it sound so pleasant. You know what I mean? Like, my coaches think I'm going to choke her out. Like that's just not. It's not like a normal Discord, but it's so funny when you say it. I guess knowing that this is her first professional fight. Right. Mm-hmm. And that was she in a camp before? Do we know?
I don't think so. Okay. I mean, I honestly don't know. But from what it seems like, I don't believe so. Cause I know she competes in like tons of grappling events on the weekend. Yep. So I'm not sure. Maybe she had been trying to get a fight and couldn't. And they said, hey, here's an opportunity.
It looks like that was the case. It looks like she got a couple fights canceled.
Yeah, I saw that on
COVID cancellations. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So without giving away your strategy, do you just, I mean, she has a lot to prove, right? She has everything to gain and you have everything to lose. We've already talked about that. Do you just kind of let her gas herself out in the first couple of minutes, feel her out?
Could be an adrenaline dump because she's like, you know, you might bank
like
on
let her make the first move and then just, if it goes to a second round, just be like, this is like, and now I get to do whatever I want to do to you because you're completely gassed.
Yeah. My goal is to be first, and I'm never first in fights. Like, I probably won't be first tomorrow. I mean, on Friday. Like, that's my goal. My coach was like, you got to be first. You got to be first. Be first. You know, you got to be first. I'm like, yeah. And then I like wait and I like throw a leg kick. And then like that's probably what I'll do. I'll probably go out there. You'll see me and I'll anticipate. And then I'll throw like an inside leg kick and you're like, oh, she did what she said she'd do. But like, I know that like I have to be first. And like, that's in my mind. I say, just be first, be first. If I hit her with a good clean strikes right away, she's going to be afraid of me. And I think that if I can have her fear my hands, that it's going to leave a lot of options for the other parts of my body. So
what do you think that is, that be first thing? Because I feel like I watch fights all the time where, you know, it's like the second round going into the third going into the fourth, where you're just like, this guy needs to up his action and he needs to be first. It's like the most obvious thing in the world. But then it's like obviously not that easy, right? It's obviously not that easy to just do it. It looks from the outside looking in, obviously. It's like, whoa, just hit him first, dude. Yeah. It's like, what do you think that, like, what gap are you trying to bridge mentally?
It's that like, obviously coaches don't know, like you get hit, they don't know how hard it actually is. So maybe they hit you and right away that first strike is like, whoa, that kind of not rocked me, but that kind of like, whoa, I don't want that to happen again. Yeah. So I think that it's that anticipation of having to get hit. And once you get hit, sometimes it's like, woof. And the thing is, I watched this girl fight and she doesn't like to get hit. So I'm just hoping that I can do that. I hope I can just hit her and she'll, you know, not quit. I don't want to say she's a quitter, but I've seen her get hit a good few times, like in the body with some knees and, you know, punches up top. And she kind of gives up and then gives up position. Like she's gotten choked out a few times too. So
it's not like you can drill getting hit though, right?
Right.
It's like you can't really get like better at it by being like, someone punch me in the face for a while until I like.
We train with big gloves, so as soon as like you get hit with 4-ounce gloves, you're like, oh shit.
Because it's
like
I'm
sharper, really fighting somebody now.
Speaking of gloves, like, are they going to fix those UFC gloves anytime soon? Like,
I have no idea. They should. I think like, luckily, I think the ones that I'm fighting with, they like actually like go kind of high. I haven't tried them on yet, but I've seen like fighters with them on. Yeah. But yeah, they need to fix that.
Have you ever been poked in the eye in a fight?
Never.
Ah, good. Because it looks really unpleasant.
Yeah, awful.
Yeah, I've been poked in an eye grappling, but like it wasn't really bad. But yeah, no, it doesn't feel good. And like when you're going full force.
Yeah. Or you step into it, you know, or something like it's like. But those UFC gloves, they, you know, it's like, okay, all gloves are gonna give you that like door knocker thing, you know. It's just the way the padding's gonna be. But like those UFC gloves keep your fingers at like exact eye poking, like
they're
level.
not great.
Yeah. And Trevor Whitman has gloves that are better. Like he's invented them. He's like, these would work.
because the UFC wants them to have the UFC name. Like I listened to this on Joe Rogan and like,
Yeah.
he's like, no, I want all of the promotions to have them. So like, I think the UFC wants them to be their fight
UFC
glove,
gloves. Yeah.
but he's like, no, like I want all promotions to have them. So
Well, he's probably got
everybody-
fighters in every promotion, right? So he doesn't want to like, he wants all his fighters to be protected.
Yeah.
And he's probably better off being like, well, I can give it to 4 different promotions or, 10 different promotions, all the regional places. And if just the UFC doesn't have it, well, I'm protecting more fighters that way. So
100%. But yeah, I don't know. He has the ideal glove. That's what they say. So,
but after
I'm
that
not
Bilal
sure.
Muhammad fight, I was like, all right, now's the time. You just ruined a title fight. And wasn't he, or like the fight for it to be a title fight, like a huge main event,
for sure.
and it's ruined through an eye poke, and it's totally the UFC's fault. It's like, come on, guys, figure it out.
Yeah, and it was a weird, like that guy was kicking, like when you kick, your hands are open, so like he was kicking as the guy was coming in, so it was also like a weird.
It's totally
regardless.
accidental.
Yeah, and it can be. And what was it? 2 weeks ago? There was a really bad eye poke too. Before that one.
Yeah, there was one. It was like 2 weeks in a row. It was like one.
Yeah,
and I can't forget who the first one was, but yeah, it was like one, and then another really bad one right after.
Yeah,
it's like, damn, dude.
So yeah, they got to do something about it. I'm surprised they haven't at this point, honestly.
All right, well, I'm gonna write a strongly worded letter to Dana.
Yeah, we all should.
Are you superstitious, Hilarie?
No, not really.
Okay,
great. At least I think so.
Perfect. So if I were to tell you that you are an 83% favorite to win this fight, how do you feel about that? Because I feel like that's overwhelming.
My coach said it should be 88%. And I was like, oh, okay. The thing is, I think that people are picking me to win just because they have more fights. I think that it's not even like, I think it's just experience wise, because those people who run those pages are fans. So it's based off like, a fan's perspective. So, someone who knows her and knows her really well is going to obviously go, yeah, I want to vote for her. But if you look at me and the experience I have, I think that obviously people are like, okay, well, Hilarie has 6 pro fights. This girl's making her debut. It's obvious that Hilarie's going to win. But I think that's just what people expect because, but a fight's a fight. So anything can happen.
What's interesting is because, now that we've been talking a little bit about how you have a few things up your sleeve, right? And you're stronger and this girl doesn't like to get hit. 7% of people only think that you're going to knock her out. The rest of them think that it's going to be submission or decision. So, I mean, it sounds like again that they're grasping at straws because they don't know who this person is.
Yeah.
But if you were her, would you have taken this fight?
No.
Why not?
Well, one, I think that my coaches wouldn't have taken the fight maybe not. I guess it all depends on the fight. But I'm coming off Contender. Like, I had a good opportunity, and I guess if you look at the girls that I have fought who have losing records, people think, okay, well, she beat people who don't have really good records. So maybe she fought 2 tough girls on her record. So, it's probably not that bad of a fight. Or, she's just really ballsy and she's like, yeah, I'll take it. It's good experience. But yeah, I wonder that. Me and my coaches wondered that, like, what? I wonder what her coaches say when they think, yeah, this is a good fight.
Yeah, because again, it's like if you go in there and you win, great, right? Like you just beat a seasoned pro, but there's also a chance that you get your absolute ass whooped.
Yeah,
and it looks bad for the camp, the coaches, everyone. Like, why would they put you in this position?
Right.
You strike me as a person that won't back down. I think you've actually told us before that your coaches would have to tell you and pull you out of the octagon or out of the cage and say, "Listen, you can't take this fight." So yeah, I was curious to see,
make the decision ultimately. It would be their decision if I was offered a fight, or it was my pro debut and they're like, hey, we got this chick who's, coming off Contender and this and that. I think that they'd maybe say no. But like when I made my debut, I was fighting a girl who was 1 and 2, and that chick was built like a fucking brick shit house. And like literally, like you still look up pictures of her today and she is strong as hell. So, but she had a losing record. So, in our coach's mind, they think, okay, this is a good fight. We watched her, you could beat her. And I had, good moments, but she was, again, it was the physically strong thing. That was something that I've been lacking from the start. So, it took me a few fights to figure that shit out. But
also, how many amateur fights would you say you had?
I had 8.
So this Alannah's only had 5, right? And so she's 4-1. 2 of them are the armbar that we talked about. One of them was a decision, and the other one was she won because of an illegal kick.
Someone elbowed her. Yeah,
illegal elbow. Yeah, sorry.
Technically, I think she was losing that fight or something like that.
Yeah. It was hard for me to find out like tape on her. I just wonder. So knowing that, we'll just call it, you won that fight, but you were losing. So let's just say 3-1, and now you're going to fight someone who's had 8 amateur fights and 6 pro fights. I can't imagine what she must be thinking, especially coming out of a situation where she doesn't have a camp. So let's play a little bit of a game here. Again, I don't want you to give away any secrets, but what would you tell her to amp her up to fight you? Let's say it's not you that she's fighting. She's fighting some other fight that's 4-2. How do you get her amped up and make her feel like she belongs in this fight?
I would tell her, I don't know. I'd probably tell her she needs to feint hard and she needs to get me to the ground and hold me down there. Like, that's what I would say. I'd say, hey, that girl looks like she can strike pretty well on her feet, but, she's comfortable being against the cage. So if you get her on the cage, I think you do good. You land some strikes, you get her on the ground. I would just say, I don't fucking know. I don't know.
It's gotta be tough. It's gotta be tough to find matchups for you right now, though, too, because you're on this bubble where not a lot of people. Yeah, it's like not a lot of people are on that bubble, though. It's like it's like you had that Contender Series fight. Okay, you didn't win it, but there was also a clear cut thing you could do to improve. And like if you had that, I'm sure you feel if you had that fight again tomorrow or on Friday and it was Cheyanne again, I'm sure you would do completely differently now that you've like upped your strength and done all that stuff. So it's like, okay, there was one thing lacking in your game, you improved it. So who else is there? Like no one really, it's like they're either in the promotion or they're at the very, very top of this promotion. So it's probably not too easy in 2 weeks to get somebody who's we're not going to be talking like this about, you know what I mean? It's like, she's getting fed to the sharks a little bit, but like, I don't know, like what was the alternative, So it's like, kudos to her, I guess, for taking the fight. I mean, it seems the odds are stacked against her.
She seems nice. And like, she's a competitor. So she competes in jiu-jitsu all the time. So she's probably comfortable competing. So, if you're comfortable competing, then, you're less fearful probably getting in there because you compete all the time. So she's probably like, all right, this is just like another.
It's gotta be so different though with the punches to the face factor.
Yes. I get more terrified doing grappling events than I do fights. And I'm a hot mess when it comes to the fights.
Really? Why is that?
I think it's mental. It's me wanting to do well and putting, I think, pressure on myself to want to do well. And then I'm like, oh, do I have the ability and skill? Like I think, oh God, I'm nervous to fight this debuter. But what happens if I'm in the UFC fighting someone who's like 10-3? Like, what am I going to be like then? What's my fucking nerves going to be then? But nerves are good. They're natural. So, hopefully I go out there and smash this chick.
You got to just use the factor that the lights aren't as hot for you as they are for her. You know what I mean? It's like you've been in like the highest situation you've been in. Like, it's like those lights are bright. Yeah. You did those UFC lights. Like these aren't going to be as bright. Yeah. It's going to burn for her. It's going to be like, damn, like, like we talked about everything crystallizing for you, like the nutrition, all the weight training. The same thing I think is going to crystallize for her on the other side when it's just like, oh no, dear. This is how I would feel if I was fighting. So.
I think I'm hoping that I'll be able to like hit her a good few times and like see her weaken and be like, oh, I'm doing good.
Show her the level
just
of competition early. Show her the level. It's like if it's like any sport. It's like if you give a team that's markedly worse than you the chance to build confidence, then that's when they get a chance to steal a win from a more talented opponent. It's like you got to just impose your will early. All this stuff. I don't know why I'm coaching you about it.
No, but I know.
I'm just nervous.
Yeah, Coach Clarke.
I want you to win.
Me too.
You mentioned that you were kind of apprehensive about the fight only because like there's no real benefit, but it's good practice for you, right?
Yeah.
So knowing that you're just off the Contender Series, I guess, what's your path back to potential UFC? Like, how do you get back? How do you get back there? Because I think I would love to see a Cheyanne versus Hilarie rematch because I do know that based on what I saw in her fight and what you've been doing over the last 6 months, you're just more equipped to handle her.
Yeah, I think so too. My goal is to not rush at this point. I think that if I can get a few fights this year, like 2 or 3 fights this year, and then that opportunity comes up, whether it's contender or like a last minute fight, I think just being comfortable in the cage is my biggest thing. I think I had such a long layoff between, my last fight and then the contender series, that I think I just need to be more active. So I'm not in any rush to get to the UFC. I don't want to be one of those people who gets there and then, loses 3 in a row and wins 1 and then gets cut. So I don't want to have a short career there. I want to have a long career there. And I'm, I think for a while I was in such a rush to want to be in the UFC, but I needed, of course that's what I want to be, what I want to do. Everybody wants to be in the UFC if they fight. But I think at this point I just want to get a few more wins. And then fight. But I mean, obviously, if I win this fight and then the UFC calls or they have an opportunity, I'm going to take it. You take that opportunity, you don't say no. So again, not in a rush, hoping I can get a few fights in before I get another opportunity, just so I'm comfortable and there isn't that sometimes when I fought Cheyanne, I didn't feel like I was aware, but I wasn't aware. I was just 1 second behind. And I think because I hadn't been in the cage in a while, that was why. I was getting my wits and figuring out the cage. So this camp, we did a lot more training inside of a cage, where I think Cheyanne, we didn't do as much because it was more COVID crazy. So we spent a lot of time at Joe Lozon's and he has a cage. So we trained a lot of sparring there. So I think just cage awareness and being comfortable in the actual cage. I think I'll do way better in a UFC fight.
Yeah, the reason why I ask is because I know a fighter's career is short, just right. It's just shorter than every other major sport. So
right.
I think if you were to ask the majority of fighters, they'd say, I want to get to the pinnacle of the sport as fast as possible. But now that you've been there, you know what it takes to stay there, right?
Yeah.
So
it's very easy to get there. It's hard to stay there.
So. Yeah. So realistically, right, and I'm gonna will positive thoughts. You're gonna make it to the UFC, right? How long are you 100%. Gonna fight for, Hilarie?
I'm not sure. I'll probably fight as long as my body will let me.
Yeah.
So if I don't have any crazy injuries and I don't need a bunch of wild surgeries, on my mind right now, I'm 28. Don't have I don't want to have kids anytime soon. That's just not top of mind. I don't plan to have kids anytime soon. So I think that's a lot of what other people is I want to start a family and I want to build a house and I want to do all this stuff, where for me, my life is just fighting. So, I think that I probably fight till I'm, I feel like females have a later prime, 32, 33. If you watch Angela Hill, she started training when she was 24, 25, and she's now 33 and in her prime. So I think I still have a lot of time until I hit my prime. So I think within the next 2 years or so, I'll hit there. But probably 35, 36. I don't know. As long as my coaches will let me. That's really what it is.
It's also 2021, right? So it's if you want to be a girl, a lady, a woman, and be oh, I'm just going to do this for my career, then that's completely fine. you know, and nobody should really give you any shit for that, because it's there's already enough kids in the world anyway. I wouldn't worry about it. They're running around everywhere. Every time I look at the window, there's 30 of them just running.
I can barely take care of myself, let alone
I know.
kids.
I feel the exact same way.
I got a dog now, so I got to worry about that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, 30 is the new 18 as far as the boomers compared to us goes. So who cares?
That's true. That's what I told my sister, because she turned 30 and was
yeah, it was depressing. It was depressing. It was a depressing moment, but I'm feeling okay about it now.
Yeah.
I know we want to talk about your fight a little bit more, but I want to ask you another question. Miesha Tate announced that she's coming back. Talk to me a little bit about your feelings about that, because I thought I really liked her in the cage. I thought she was fun to watch in terms of the promotion of the fight.
Yeah.
And she was great in the octagon too. So what are your thoughts on her coming back?
She's an OG. So I like Miesha Tate. I think she's great. I just hope that from when me and my coach were talking about this on the ride up to Philly, and we just hope that the levels that have changed from when she first started fighting to now are so drastic. So, I mean, and since she last fought, she's popped out 2 kids. I know she was struggling with depression and all sorts of stuff. It wasn't in a good place. So I am curious to see how she'll do. She's fighting a woman who's, older. She's 43. So she's a little older. I'd like to see her be successful because, she's a very likable person. but I just don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. I hope that it will go really well for her because she's, again, a very likable fighter. She's been around for a really long time.
Yeah.
She's an original, like, woman gangster fighter. So, like, she's one of those, people that you look up to when you're a woman and you fight. So, I really hope she succeeds, but I hope that she's also getting and changing her game a little bit. I think she was very one style gamed where she likes to, obviously throw hands and then get down to the ground and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm curious to see how she's changed since her last fights, obviously. So we'll see.
So stay away from Amanda is what you're saying.
Yes.
Like far away.
Yeah, she shouldn't fight Amanda anytime
Ever.
soon. Yeah. Amanda's on another pinnacle of,
There was also there was discussion. We're getting like way rabbit hole. I'm sorry. Like there was discussion that Amanda might fight. Is it Logan Paul? But he didn't want to take the fight. The YouTube guy.
Yeah.
He refused to fight with her.
Kill him.
We all know that she would fucking eat him for dinner, right? Like,
oh yeah. I mean, in a boxing match, I don't know how they do. I mean, I think she's obviously. I think he walks around like 220 or something gigantic. But I mean, if it was an MMA fight, I think she crushes him. In a boxing match, I'm not sure how it would go. I think it would be good and she'd land some good strikes. I don't think she'd be able to KO him, but I think she'd hold her own.
Yeah.
But I don't know about him. Like, he's way bigger. So, but she's way more technical and skilled. So it's like, it's such a weird, like, it's hard to compare the two. I'm curious to see how he does with Mayweather.
Oh, he's going to get absolutely killed. I mean,
of course.
You guys are Conor fans, right? And Conor is if that Conor Mayweather thing took place in the octagon, it would have lasted 10 seconds. We all know that. But in that ring,
like
Mayweather, he doesn't typically stand in the middle, and he stood right in the middle and dared Conor to hit him, and he just couldn't do it.
No. That's not what happened.
That's exactly what happened, Dave.
Get out of here. He dared Conor to hit him. First of all, Conor did hit him a bunch of times. And if they didn't have big pillows on their hands, those punches would have hurt a lot more. Second of all, he caught him a good few times in the first. I'm not going to get into this with you. It's going to take too long, but I disagree. We can talk about this later.
You just can't make the pillow argument when Mayweather knocked him down. Okay, but moving.
Yeah, well, he was tired. He was clearly tired. He's got better conditioning now. I think if they fought again, he'd do a lot better.
So, Hilarie, your fight is this Friday. It's CFFC 95.
Yeah.
What can we? So we all know you're going to win the fight. We're all rooting for you, right? When is the next fight after this? How soon would you like to fight after this?
Depending, obviously, how if I go unskeeved and like I'm uninjured, I'd like to fight probably like August. Sometime before summer's over. I'd like to enjoy some of my summer. But like July or August, I'd be totally, hip to fighting. I have a 2-fight contract with them. So, I'll fight this fight and then I'm sure I'll have another fight. I think I was originally months ago supposed to fight for their title, but the girl was injured. So I think that if I win this fight, then the title fight is the option. So I'm curious. I'm not sure if another fight comes up, then that's totally fine too. But I have 2 fights under their contract and, I'll get this one done. And then hopefully, if they have something like end of July, August, then I'm totally in for that. So
thinking now that we're kind of returning to some normalcy in the world, I think it's fair for you to want July to chill.
Yeah.
I think that's fair enough. I think everyone deserves July.
Yeah. A little time to eat and enjoy the summer. Cause all last summer I was training for Contender Series. So, and I was originally supposed to fight early July and then obviously everything got pushed back. So my camp doubled in time. So, I mean, it was Corona times anyway. So it's not like there was much to do, but I'd like to enjoy a little bit of my summer and then definitely have a fight before the fall. And then have a fight at the end of the year if possible. So 3 fights would be ideal for this year.
So, and not to peel the curtain back too much, but what are negotiations like when you say you have a 2-fight contract, right? Knowing that you just came off of the Contender Series, I guess you have a little sway, right? You are a pretty known commodity in the fight. I mean, right? So,
maybe.
So, I guess from my perspective, let's say that this fight on Friday is a blowout. Do you then renegotiate for another couple of fights after one, or do you wait until your contract is up after 2?
I probably will just do the other one. My manager does all that. So, usually he just tells me, but, I'll probably have the 2 fights with them. Like if it's the title fight, then that's probably what I'll take. Because I mean, the title fight looks good. So when you win and you're the champ of a promotion, then like Aljamain was the champ of CFFC. So, Caitlin Kukakian was the CFFC champion. So it looks good when you're the champ. So obviously I think I would like to fight for the title and like hold another title would be cool. I had one as an amateur. So having one as a pro would be cool just to have. And usually when you're a title fight, you get those last minute calls for the UFC and it looks good. Like I have a friend who fought over the weekend too. He didn't do as well, Fabio, but he was the LFA champ and he got a last minute, 3-day notice fight and he may not have won, but it looks good when you accept fights like that. And when you're the champ. So I think having the name there and having like a title holding a title, like also looks good.
And I know that we're kind of up against it, but I do have just one last question because I know that your opponent this week is taking this fight on a 2-week notice, no camp, right? So let's say that the champ in CFFC has a scheduled fight, their opponent falls out. How short of a window would you feel comfortable with actually accepting that challenge?
I don't know. That's a good question. Because the thing is, after this fight, I probably will start training to prepare to fight that girl anyway. Yep. She has like a taekwondo-y type strange style of someone that I've never really fought before. But she's also very beatable. So like she does a lot of things that, leave openings. But after this fight, I'll probably anyway start to prep for her because I think I'm going to be anticipating that fight. Yep. So I think I'd just be ready, just working on things anyway, because I think that could definitely be an option, or that a fight, could fall out. But I think that I'm really just the one in line for her next. So
yeah, awesome. So right before we go, I want to give you some time so that you can tell everyone where they can find you, what you're going to be up to. Obviously, you had that big fight at CFFC 95 this Friday, but where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, find me on Instagram, Hilarie Rose MMA, or Facebook, Hilarie Rose. I have a Twitter, but I don't use it. I should probably get on that. But yeah, you can find me anywhere. Very simple, Hilarie Rose. I'm everywhere. So support me, follow me, and wish me luck.
Yeah, we do. You are our favorite, and thank you so much for jumping on the show again for the 3rd time. We can't wait to have you back.
Of course, I love talking to you guys. You guys are the best.
It's awesome. So for DK Sizzle, Dave Clarke, Craig D'Alessandro, my name is Michael Marcangelo. Thank you so much, Hilarie Rose, and you've been listening to Missing the Point.